there, welcome to Camp Video Games. This is a podcast that covers video games and their multimedia adaptations. And today we are talking about the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time manga by Akira Himekawa. I'm Junior Camp Counselor Sean, and who's that charming young man?
Hello, this is Junior Camp Counselor Josh. As per usual, a little bit of camping advice here. If a water bird who is not canon to your timeline enters your world, you can completely disregard that. Or it's silly nonsense. Or you can
cook it to 160 internal, and you just want to take the thermometer and put it right through the top of the chest cavity, and then you'll get a nice roasted bird.
I have no idea.
A wataru. What was that thing?
Wataru. I have no idea how many people are going to come into this having read the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time manga that will get that reference.
Yeah, Josh,
until we get to that point in this conversation.
This is our first book club conversation. We've never read a book before.
Yeah, there was a lot of work.
I had to read this backwards.
One, I had to read it backwards. Two, I had to read in the first place. No, I was actually I blasted through it in like an hour and a half. It wasn't so bad.
It's
a lot
read.
Actually quicker than playing the game.
Oh yeah. So campers, if you're just joining us, we have just was it not 9-part conversation?
I have no idea.
8 or 9
published them all yet.
We talked about the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the video game, for at least a dozen hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're rounding it out with this manga adaptation, official manga adaptation that and I need to look more into the author.
Oh, I could tell you more.
Yeah,
about
go
them.
for it.
This is actually Akira Himekawa is actually the pen name of two
people.
Yeah, two female manga artists who have never revealed their real identities.
That's so cool.
It's cool, but it's also like, I assume they did that because it was not a female-friendly business when they were doing this in the 90s.
Yes, but I see it more of as a Banksy thing, where it's like cool. It's like a secret artist is super cool. And I see photos of them right here.
Oh, so they are publicly outed at this point? I don't know. I was just reading their like Wikipedia, and it was like, yeah, they're just their pen name. Their real names are like, they've been credited, I think, by just maybe their like family names, but like they're still semi-anonymous. And there's no, I guess I can only think of like one other like Japanese like manga JRPG related like woman writer who goes by a pen name. But there's a few women that worked in that industry back then.
Well,
not a ton, but a few.
These artists also made adaptations of, on top of Ocarina of Time, they did Majora's Mask, Oracle of Seasons, Ages, Four Swords, The Minish Cap, A Link to the Past, which I have, which is a really beautiful retelling of the
that's
story.
interesting. Sorry, finish that list.
Then we've also got Phantom Hourglass, Skyward Sword, and Twilight Princess.
Wow.
So if you really want to talk about Zelda for the rest of our lives, we've got things.
We can thank the Himekawa gang.
That's right.
Duo, whatever you would refer to that as. That's funny because there's in the back of the book, before we get into the substance, they wrote a nice little afterword about how like we weren't very much gamers until Nintendo came to us and asked us to do this. And then we like fought our way through Ocarina of Time, and it was a lot of work, but boy, howdy, did we want to write the book after that. Like they suggest they really enjoyed it. And it like opened their eyes to like, oh, video games have stories and we can help tell them in different formats. Which is very cool.
Speaks to my heart. As two goofballs running a podcast about video game adaptations, hearing artists speak on it and how that joy can be replicated is exactly what draws me to adaptations.
And like, my understanding is this is also like contemporary to the time the game came out.
I believe the publishing date was originally 2001.
The series started in 1999.
Good for that.
And then this version that we have, Legendary Edition, that's just all of the series combined into one beautiful book, is from 2016, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shout out to Manga, Cincinnati manga bookshop. That's where I picked up this copy of it. and they've got a pretty good selection of other video game adaptations on top of contemporary.
I've seen they got that Elden Ring one.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm actually curious about that.
I don't know if we talked about it on Mike, that I started a game of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And then I just immediately stopped when I accidentally used my shrimp as the opening item I chose was like some
now
some prawn, and I was like, I didn't know the button layout.
No,
and
dude, that's FromSoft. Just get used to it.
Yeah, and I just stopped. I was like, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah, nothing will stay. Anyway, let's dive into this bad boy.
Boy, oh boy.
I don't know. You got overall impressions?
Oh, thank you for asking, my friend. This is essential for fans of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
This manga it reimagines plot points, which makes it if you've played the game dozens of times as I have, you know the story beats pretty well of the video game, and what this does is it throws you for a loop on certain plot points, and it also expands upon lore that is not fully explored in the game.
Yeah,
and it introduces some answers to lingering questions I have had about the story of Ocarina of Time. So like reading this manga is a absolute joy as a fan of this particular title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it for me, the overall feeling I had reading this was like, this is 80 to 90% of the way tonally, and I don't know about pacing wise, but like this is what I would want out of a Zelda movie. And being that the Zelda movie just finished being shot in the last few months, and like the few images that have leaked, I'm like, I do not think the Zelda movie is anything like the tone of this manga.
I think the Zelda movie's like aesthetic, as far as I've seen it, is unfortunately really reflective of like AI generated high fantasy art that you see kind of slopped around on social media. And I'm not saying specifically that the movie is using that technology, but it seems to be more influenced by like 80s high fantasy.
Right.
And it is a vibe that The Legend of Zelda achieves like flawlessly, but it's not the overall vibe of The Legend of Zelda. I see Zelda as a cute adventure that at certain points hits the big E word, epic, that we use very little in normal conversation because we have slightly malleable vocabularies, but epic in the true sense, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see the movie. I'm excited to see what a modern cinematic take is on The Legend of Zelda, but
I have a sense you're pretty right. But go on.
I'm not expecting to see the same like ad campaign with the Legend of Zelda movie as Nintendo has with the Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think I'm gonna buy a box of the Legend of Zelda Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah, like the Mario series, those movies have been marketed as if like a new candy just dropped, you know?
Like, absolutely. And then they launched new candy along with it.
Yeah, like if you remember how bombastic marketing for like kids drinks and candy were when we were kids, that's what like the marketing for the Mario movies feels like. And I think you're right. The Zelda one's gonna be very different. Speaking of FromSoft, Elden Ring, like, and what little we've seen of the movie, I worry they're gonna lean that direction of like, well, Breath of the Wild, there was so much quiet in it that they're gonna like go too far that direction of everything's gonna be contemplative and reflective.
Yeah.
Soft. And I'm like, no, back to this book. It is shonen anime.
Yes. Yes. It is childhood wonder and delight and children aren't that like sincere or like emotional as those FromSoft moments are on as regular a basis. Same with Zelda. Zelda is a silly, lighthearted game that sometimes hits those high points, those serious moments. You know, it's not that Zelda lacks sincerity. It's just that's not the part that's celebrated.
Yeah, I think people like mistake Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for being more like deep, contemplative, reflective, what all these words we're throwing out than it really is, because so much of the time is spent alone in the wilderness. in the quiet, and that is part of it. But when he's actually interacting with people, the Link that we see in here, who I would say is most like Luffy D Monkey from One Piece.
Okay.
He's like silly, he's goofy, he's a child. Like and it's like, I mean, Luffy, Goku, we've talked about these like archetypes before. It's like a sort of lost boy out in the world of humans. You know, if you go watch those first couple episodes of Dragon Ball, I always think of like the bits where Goku accidentally discovers that Bulma has different body parts than he does.
I love it. Where's your tail?
Yeah. Like
Wait,
why is it soft down here?
Yeah.
Like, or whatever. Like,
I remember that specific clip from the original Dragon Ball run.
Yes, it's in the first 2 or 3 episodes. It might even be the first episode. I don't remember exactly, but like that's the kind of like awe for the world character that Link is in this manga.
Yes.
And that's makes so much sense to me. It's like they dialed the meter halfway between the Zelda animated series, which is one of the first things we ever talked about,
right.
which is real bad.
Check
it's
it out,
really
campers.
Americanized, really westernized to the point of being misogynist.
Well, it's just like gummy bears. Like you don't want to eat too many of them.
Yeah. And then like on the other end of the spectrum is what people think Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom Link is, of like he's just silent, like stoic, which he is. But if you pay attention, I don't know if we've talked about this, like if you pay attention to your conversation options when he's conversing with people in those games, he's a little goofy. Like he has like goofy little answers and responses to people that are really similar to this characterization in this book.
I love that you brought this up, Josh, because I did some contemplation, some quiet contemplation in my shrine to camp video games.
Yeah.
I was staring at a mirror that I broke, and I was thinking about we talked about the idea that Link is a 10-year-old boy who gets transported into the future 7 years into a 17-year-old's body, but it's still a 10-year-old boy's like brain and heart. That's the point. And I think that's an actual plot point, is that they found a loophole to have the hero of time be as like powerful physically as he needed to be, but pure of heart as he needed to be. He needed to maintain his youth like wonder. And that's like an actual, like in order. And the reason that's important is because the Triforce reflects the heart of the person who makes a wish on it. And he needed to be in prime spiritual and physical function to be the hero of time. And
a real 17-year-old's too jaded.
A real 17-year-old's gonna be like, oh,
too cynical.
I'm fucking tired. Yeah.
That's a very good point. So I guess maybe we should dive into the substance of this bad boy. Like I said, it's like you can blast through it in 90 minutes or less. Although I don't know if I know how to read manga properly. I guess before we get into the substance of it.
Okay.
I don't spend a lot of time with the images. I kind of let them just wash over me.
That's fine.
Almost as if I'm watching it as a real-time animation
That's
or
the
anime.
That's the pace. That's the intended pace. I believe as a light manga reader. I would never presume to be considered an expert on this medium, but I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of manga, and I have certain titles that I like hold dear that like are a part of my regular reading rotation.
Yeah, like this book in particular, I don't know how regular this is in manga, but like you'll run into like a lot of panels that are extremely like reduced detail, almost to like storyboarding of like, no, we just need to like show the angle of this and let the reader fill in the blanks of the details, and like it's left really abstract. Like we just need to cinematically frame this part of the conversation. It'll be like a tiny little panel and just like keeping things moving. So it's very funny. Our Chibis, who we might let talk at the end of this, also read it. I asked her to describe the book, and she described it as exhilarating.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
I was like, you know what? Like after having just played the game, which took me about 10 to 12 hours, and then reading the quote novelized version of it, manga version of it in an hour and a half, I was like, yeah, that is an exhilarating pace to get through this.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because The fact that the authors were not big gamers before Zelda, it tells true in certain sense that they literally yada the water temple into like 2 pages.
Yeah.
Whereas they'll spend like 10 pages on just like dialogue between characters at some points. Maybe that's a hyperbolic number, but it's very funny that they'll go out of their way to explain why Link got an earring.
Yeah.
But then they're also like, oh yeah, and he's supposed to be married to Ruto, but then she just doesn't show up except for like a page and a half.
Yeah.
As the adult part, at least, which was something that I noticed.
I think most of these decisions were good ones that you're describing. I mean,
I don't want to see him find keys.
Yeah. If we open right at the beginning, we get, again, I'm not going to give exact page counts, but there's a lot more substance in the Kokiri Forest of his relationship, specifically to Mido, who in the game is just a guy who blocks you from visiting the tree until you have a sword and shield, and says like 2 sentences of something kind of bullyish, right? Whereas this, it really spends time setting up like this weird tension between the two, where it's like, no, they don't necessarily hate each other. They just like bully each other in that way that like
boys,
10 to 12-year-olds who like you don't quite understand what the friction between you is and why, like, and so you'll like have conflict. Like I remember having this like with like people who then were like, oh no, you're my ride or die friends in high school, where like we just get in like these little spats because like we were envious or something about something in the other, and you don't quite understand why, at that age. So it just comes out in like conflict.
The conflict
like
between
I thought
Mido
that was
and
captured
Link
very well between these two.
The conflict between Mido and Link is specifically like hinged on Mido has a jealousy that Saria likes him more.
Yeah, and like it's hard for them to verbalize that that's the source of it. Like it's they show it well, but like they can't just outright be like, I hate that Link because Saria likes him more than me. Like,
I don't know. I think Mido's dialogue is pretty specific about it. But the dynamic is universal and relatable.
Yeah.
Like that's the important thing. Is
and
that's how a lot of kids that age interact. They don't understand that their conflict is such a normal part of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's part of growing up is just like figuring out like your status among your peers, and I don't know, like that's like you just got to do some chest puffing.
There's a lot of chest puffing between the two.
Yeah. But it's great because they allow Mido to become a part of Link's adventure in the Deku Tree, which I think is such a great idea. But first it gives Link someone to talk to besides just Navi, and they can utilize this character where the dynamic is already established in the video game, and then this adaptation really understands and expands on, and I could say that about pretty much every aspect of this novelization. Mangazation.
I'm just gonna keep calling it mangazation. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I really enjoy the way we get to see it's not that Ganondorf showed up and said, give me the Kokiri Emerald. It's he uses Goma, and
he's
there's
got plots going,
and they take the idea that like remember at the end of or like throughout people and beings are being possessed, and that happens in the game, right? Like you see Kotake and Kume possess Nabooru, but you see that Goma is not an inherently evil monster. That she gets possessed by Ganondorf.
She's like a tiny bug spider thing, which like she reverts to after the curse is broken in this, instead of just being like, that's something Ganon came and planted in me because he demanded a emerald from me.
But then you see her intrusion of the Deku Tree. It is gross. Like she like slides into him, and it's just it's a parasitic invasion. She's a parasitic armored arachnid. It's a really like, I don't know. It made me look at these kind of generic monsters, and it gives them character. Boy, do they ever give Volvagia a weird,
oh my gosh, yeah,
thing. I know we're jumping around, but this is campers. This is the plot of Ocarina of Time with just a lot of extra things, and it's. I think the truly interesting things, and we were saying this before we started recording, is just that like is where they decided to fill in the blanks, or they're like, there was a blank here. Maybe they never addressed this blank, and we're going to fill it in.
Well, then there's like we'll talk about Volvagia, I guess now.
Sure.
Because like Volvagia wasn't necessarily a blank that needed filled in. It was just like, oh, Ganon's evil control of the Triforce of Power. He specifically has raised this ancient dragon to be mean, or it's awoken because of like the distortion or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like enough. But in this, they change it so that like you get this flashback to when Link was visiting Hyrule Castletown as a child. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
that's right. He like saved a baby dragon by like buying it for anyway.
It's some Hagrid stuff.
Yeah, like they have a relationship. He's got a Hagrid level relationship with this baby dragon that he then freed, and then as an adult, he goes to the mountain and finds it harassing and attacking the Gorons,
That's
I guess. Right. And then he like just straight up has to chop its head off.
It's brutal, right? And it haunts him throughout the rest of the story. Yeah. Like Link has some trauma, and it's
definitely the most like emotional part of this entire book.
And it comes out of nowhere. I had like when I got to that part in the fire temple, I guess part of the story, and I was like, I went back to the Dodongo Cavern section. I was like, did I completely forget Link meeting this dragon?
Yeah,
and it's like, no. It's just they that use of flashback I thought was it was like a gut punch. It was like a sucker gut punch.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, why did you just make me feel really bad about one of the cooler boss fights?
Yeah. That's definitely the standout like change that, and like this is not a blank that filled in, but you did a good job justifying the change for like storytelling and pacing reasons, to put some emotional weight into this, other than just be like, he just had to go up Death Mountain and kill this dragon that was being mean, you know?
Yeah.
Which is like how the game handles it. But in the game, there's more context through like your journey and the adventure, and like you're on this quest to get these medallions in a very clear pace that like it'd just be boring in book form.
Oh, of course.
That adding these emotional stakes and stuff, it's like it works most times that they do it. I'd say Rudo is the worst handled in the book.
The least attention paid to her, at least. And I don't think it was handled poorly, because they also expand on the fact that I don't think I realized until the novel, the manga, I'll say novelization more naturally, but that Rudo was supposed to be engaged to someone else, which is the whole reason she ran away
into
Jabu. And the fact that she's just like, I don't know if they say that in the game, but that works perfectly, because then she's just like, no, we'll get married. It's fine. It's like, it's not even that she's necessarily love at first sight with Link. It's more that she's just like, no, I don't want to marry that Rudo or that other Zora. Like, I'll marry you. Like, it's like a desperate decision. And like that fits with what's in the game so well.
Yeah, like that part does fit. The second beat with Rudo that you brought up.
Yeah, the second beat is like so dismissive.
I spent a couple minutes going back and forth being like, did this get published out of order? Because like what they completely write out the bottom of the well and the shadow well, okay, let's just talk about all this.
Yeah.
So Kakariko Village is not introduced until after Volvagia, I guess, and the
adult arc.
In the adult timeline. Then he like meets Impa in Kakariko Village, and he
gets some training.
Yeah, he trains because they also they fixed the thing that we complained about like, why would just knocking this kid out for 7 years make him the hero?
Yeah.
Like they address that, well, he wakes up as an adult, and sure, he can carry the sword, but can he properly wield it?
Right. It's no Deku's sword or Kokiri's sword.
The forest and mountain fire pieces, he fumbles his way through fine, but then he ends up in Kakariko. He meets Impa, and she's like, you got to train with this thing. And then at the end of his training, instead of doing the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple, Dark Link from the Water Temple comes out of the well.
It's a nice way to efficiently work in that ingredient without having to really like make any sacrifices.
Yes. And the thing that I don't know if I missed it or they missed it, because like in my brain, I'm still waiting for him to do the Shadow Temple and fight Bongo.
Yeah, no Bongo.
That's just completely erased. But it also, did they erase Impa becoming a sage? I don't know if I just missed that or like.
I believe at the very end.
At the very end, she shows up as one, but like we don't get a moment. It just like my memory is that it's just like, oh no, that was just like Link's training partner, and then he went on to the next thing, which is so then they're like, okay, now you need to go to the desert wastelands now that you've trained. And then we jump cut to him at the boss fight in the water temple with Rudo. And like that's like 2 pages of yada yada.
Yeah.
And then we're back to the journey to the desert wasteland. That like I was just going back and forth for a couple minutes. Like, what did I miss? Did they print this out of order? Like it felt really bizarre. We see the
spirit temple, but not the shadow temple.
Yes.
Or the well. That's correct. I mix up the spirit and the shadow temple in my mind.
This is all to say the last 3 temples get really jumbled and some get erased.
You know, it's fun. It's like Link's not playing with a walkthrough.
Yeah. Well, that's like the thing I eventually came to. I was like, I mean, I guess you can technically do some of this out of order.
Perhaps
as a player.
It's based on the author's like gameplay experience where they're just kind of like,
they
what do we do?
Yeah, maybe played it out of order somehow.
Yeah.
But like the water temple part is jarring. It is like ham-fisted. I don't know if it was like as a comic series it was released as a standalone. I find that hard to believe because it's so short.
I believe it just had the child arc and the adult arc as 2 different releases. Only because I have the childhood arc as a standalone issue.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think it's just broken into 2.
Yeah, but that's definitely the most bizarre section of it that I got just a little lost, and I was like, again, curious. We'll maybe ask the Chibis, like, were you following this when it was happening? As somebody who hasn't played the game,
right?
Like, were you following what was going on here? Because I got a little lost, and I don't know if it's because I know the story so well, because it is very like they tell like go to the desert wasteland, and then it's like I think literally the next page he's at the boss room of the water temple.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
The flow is typically pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. There's some certain parts where I thought that there was omissions that were a little hard to justify, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's like I think the only like true like I'm just completely lost like mistake level thing in there.
So I like how it just expands on Link's relationship with the Kokiri to go back to the like kind of start of the story, where it's just like you get to see that Mido is actually like in possession of the Kokiri sword because he's the like head of the Kokiri, and Link is able to craft his own Deku shield, which I thought was a great detail with the sword as the carving like device. And
and like and specifically that it's after the Deku tree dies.
That's right.
Link is like, I want to carve a shield out of its bark, which is pretty cool.
It really works.
For
just like the way I mean, like that's can't you just make shields in Tears of the Kingdom? Like at this point, like there are certain things where I'm like, wait, are they like? There was a detail at one point where it's said that like Link used too much of the sword's power, the Master Sword's power, and I was like, when did that actually get introduced first into a video game? I think it was Skyward Sword, like where the Master Sword has like a specific power, and then that's continued in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like you can use it's an unbreakable item, but it has limited power.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought either it could be that, it could just be like a minor lost in localization kind of thing of like, I took it as them saying as much, he's just not strong enough to wield its full power yet. And that's why the Impa training happens.
I've got it.
Hit me.
Okay. I've been playing a lot of the first Legend of Zelda since we finished off Ocarina of Time. I've just been really happy, like sitting down for 5-10 minutes at a time.
Yeah. I started Wind Waker since we finished.
So happy
the
to
first
hear
time
that.
since
I hope you enjoy it more this time than your last time. But Link, when Link has full health, his sword shoots a magic beam, which is symbolic, or of the fact that he's like, it's kind of like how the Kamehameha is really just an extension of your energy.
Yeah.
And when you lose health, you can't do that anymore, which means that the sword's not at full power. And I think it could be as simple as that, where it's like they mix his health and his stamina
Yeah.
into that idea that the sword doesn't have power. I might be thinking way too hard into that very small detail of the manga, but I just thought, because it becomes a playable factor later in the games, that's something that they've always been like brewing.
It works. But it's funny to think of, like, it's on the hand of these authors that would have been completely incidental that they came up with that idea based on like what we know of them from what's in the book. Right. Where they're like, we didn't really know video games very well. We just played Ocarina of Time and then got excited about being invited to do the novelization.
Right.
And they were only working because it was contemporary to the game with the information that's out. So maybe they, like you said, maybe they went back and thought that hard about it. Yeah. Who knows? Possible.
There's a couple of side stories that are not necessary to the full experience, because they're told after the fact of the story beats in which they should be occurring. But it's fun little accents at the end of the major arcs. And what I like that they introduced is the concept of the Baga tree.
Yeah.
Which is basically like a spooky Deku tree.
Yeah.
I tried to look up what Baga means, and I didn't get anything. Just on a very
gibberish
on
word.
a very shallow research level. I might have searched twice for to hear everything. Didn't get anything. So campers, if you know what Baga means, please let me know. I'm dying to know.
I really liked the Skull Kid one.
Yeah.
In the middle, because it's like gives you that thing that I love about adaptations. Like my favorite that we've talked about, A Fox in Space, of like, no, really, what's it like to live in this world outside of the adventure?
Yeah, besides the grand adventure aspect, what's everyday life?
Yeah, like it just really fleshes out like, no, what's like the Kokiri culture like? Like, no, of course they're just putting on little like festivals and plays for each other. They're kids, lost boys and kids entertaining each other.
But of course, their seasonal celebration revolves around the harvesting of the Deku seeds, which is a very like beautiful detail to add. Is that they are living in a symbiotic relationship with the Deku tree, and it's their sacred beast, their protector god, their father. Like but it's also like they're god in like a literal sense, if you think of it, like giving life to all of these creatures, because I believe that the Kokiri, if you're going to look deeper into what that means, is that they're Hylians that eventually evolved into Kokiri through some sort of spiritual transformation that I believe the Deku was a catalyst for. But I don't know, it turns the Kokiri forest, which is just a cute little like playground in the video game, into this like lived in village that has cultural significance and is like a part of an ecosystem that like the rest of the world is completely unaware of.
Yeah, like both cultural significance and practice, like you sort of brought up with like, there's like a harvest festival. They're doing a play around it.
Yeah.
And then it further fleshes out the thing we were talking about Link and Mido having a relationship that is not exclusively like conflict and like, no, I hate you, you're my bully. Like they do like this sort of back and forth between we're in conflict, we're in cooperation. That it's like, no, that's just like what it's like to be in a community sometimes. It's like, no, you have friction with like people you're around all the time, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like, no, we're just always enemies, as simple as it's made out to be in the game.
Yeah. There's nuance to human relationships. You're not just red or blue, right? There are shades of knowing.
So yeah, really love that story. And I love, especially for like the way it feeds the backstory of like Majora's Mask. It
establishes kind of a retaliation that Skull Kid has, and it's like puts into cooking why he ends up doing the intro to Majora's Mask.
Yeah, like they build off of the lore that exists in the game. In the game, I think it's like anybody who goes in the Lost Woods becomes a Stalfos.
A Stalfos, I think, or a Skull Kid.
Or a Skull Kid.
I actually looked into this because it's fun to just like after we've done the big deep dive of Ocarina to just have the chance to like revisit it.
Yeah.
But in such a condensed form. Okay. Here's a little thing that crossed my mind. Any Hylian that goes into the Lost Woods or the Kokiri Forest turns into a Skull Kid. Mm-hmm. So a Skull Kid is the result of a Hylian going into the Kokiri Forest.
Okay.
And what happened with Link? He was dropped off by his mom in the Kokiri Forest. She gave Link, with her last dying breath, she gives her child to the Deku tree and then dies, assumingly, in the Kokiri Forest, which means that canonically speaking, by the rules that they have established, Link's mom is a Skull Kid. Maybe not this Skull Kid, but is a Skull Kid. Because one of the Kokiri children says to Link in the Lost Woods, all who enter the Lost Woods become Skull Kids.
But can you go in the Kokiri Forest without entering the Lost Woods?
I don't see any Highlands there, do you?
But like, his mom didn't necessarily have to go through the Lost Woods. I think because the Lost Woods is attached to the Kokiri Forest.
The Kokiri Forest is like a grove outside of the denser Lost Woods, but I assume it has this. They both enjoy the same protective magic.
Yeah,
as you see in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, the way the Lost Woods is also like where the Koroks like live like all throughout. Mm-hmm. I think it's one and the same. They both enjoy the same spiritual protection offered by the Deku tree.
Yeah. I liked especially the Skull Kids, like there's a lot of depth of character to this kid who got lost, he became a Skull Kid. Yeah. And they tell the story of how he got lost, right? There's a couple pages of his backstory. It alludes
to like the fact that this was a Hylian that got lost.
And then like he is sort of under the control, or I guess he works for the protection of like this Baga tree.
Yeah.
Because since like I don't know, like since he's not a Kokiri, or like I don't know why, like, or maybe he just didn't meet the Deku tree and he met the Baga tree first, that like he just has like this very outsider experience.
Yeah.
But there's still a child in him that yearns for friendship and connection.
Yeah, that's
what shines through. That makes him like one of the most interesting characters between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for me.
The Baga tree seems to be the same yin yang dynamic with the Deku tree, where there's like a protector, there's a good protector and there's a bad protector, if you were to look at it through that type of binary. And the Baga tree seems to be like the gang leader of the ruffians or the non-Kokiri, and they have like wolves under its spell and insects. I think we see that Goma bug again at some point.
I was gonna say, I think it's pretty heavily implied the Baga tree only exists as like another corruption of Ganondorf.
Yeah, that checks out. I see.
Like
that.
It's not like
it's not an infrastructure.
Yeah, like it's not as direct a sort of yang to the Deku tree's yin, in that like, no, they've both been here forever. It feels like it's a corruption that maybe it's been there a little longer than like the Goma or whatever, but
I dig it.
When they attack, the Kokiri attack it, and basically it just returns to like a uncursed regular tree.
Thank you for clarifying. That's great.
Yeah. And then after that, like Skull Kid wants to sort of like, he gets to participate with them and like be friends to some degree. And then he ends up taking, there's like a skull mask for one of the theater performances, and then a more tribal mask. And they offer him the tribal one, and he's like, "No, this skull is more my thing."
It's cool.
And it's very cool. I don't know. I very much enjoyed this one. The other one at the end, which creates whole new race.
It's pre-Wind Waker Rito.
Yeah, it introduces the Ruto in a different form called the Watarara.
It seems phonetically linked with Raru, and that would make sense with Kapor Gabora also having that. And Jabu Jabu, I don't know. I wonder. I have got a lot of unanswered questions about Raru because they don't really dwell on him in this adaptation as much as I had hoped.
He for. And both Kapora Gabora get sort of a like gloss yada yada through a little more than they do in the game.
I didn't really care for the secondary the Waroru thing. Yeah. I didn't really care for that one.
Yeah, because it's all about introducing a new character and a new race as if this is sort of like a new thing we're going to continue to explore in the world of Zelda.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Yeah.
It's just a side story.
It feels like sequel bait. Like this is the end
that never came.
This is the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, where they got Daisy showing up at the end with the flamethrower. She's, boys, we got trouble again,
which is hilarious because that's how the new Mario Galaxy movie ends.
I love it. I still haven't watched it, but
it's like, there's still another princess to introduce. That's like the post-credits scene.
I'm ready for some slop. I'm ready to eat a whole bag of Cheetos.
They finally made Mario Galaxy available. The new 3D whatever. Those are now available for digital download and not just the exclusive physicals that were only available for like a year.
Yeah, cool.
So maybe we could play those at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I love me some Mario.
Anyways, back to this book. One of my favorite sort of additions or adjustments is Link and Zelda's relationship is fleshed out by making it so that he has a Chrono and Marl experience with her.
Go for it. Oh my god, yes.
in Castletown. He runs into her, and at first I was like, oh, this is how they're introducing Malin.
Right.
Because like she just looks like a little girl. Like but it turns out it's Zelda. And Zelda is like, have a fun day with me in Castletown, just like in the opening of Chrono Trigger.
Take me to the Time Festival or whatever. What's the festival?
The Millennial Fair.
The Millennial Fair, yeah.
So yeah, like Link gives her the Millennial Fair treatment. They go to the Bomb Chew Bowling. I thought was really fun. Like they even like make sure to like one or two panels has that like bored emo girl that works the desk.
Oh, she's great.
Like they feature like a lot of the Castletown activities. So that there is a relationship and a reason they're like supporting each other. And it's around this time also that they point out this sort of like dating sim element that's going on, where like Navi's like, Link, you've got 3 cute girls who have all given you a bunch of attention in the last day or two. Like, what are you going to do about it? He's like, I don't know.
I'll do the right thing. That's what he does. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched that movie? Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. I was just talking about the other day because we're recording this like mid heat wave that I was like, maybe we need to watch Do the Right Thing. That's a favorite of mine. But they hang out in Castletown, and then like Zelda is swept back to the castle, but it gives like Link a reason to be in the castle. So that like when the scene between of her like telling him to go collect the stones, like there's just more reason versus like her just being like, I just saw you in a dream, so I know you're not here to kill me. Like, which is what happens in the game.
They are that because that would make Zelda seem like a robot. Like, and that really humanizes her.
Or that like she just has like this all encompassing telepathy of this prophecy.
Maybe less robot, more Vulcan.
Yeah. Which like it works for the game and its context, but this makes way more sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like it. And I think Ganondorf comes and meets them in the grotto.
He's
and she's like, you can't be here.
There's like open hostility between Zelda and Ganondorf.
I want nothing to do
with
you.
It's you're insulting me right now by being here. Like,
she says something almost that direct. I don't remember if that's the exact quote, but it's like
it's close to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I even wrote my notes because Ganondorf, this part is also an interesting point, and it answers another question: is Ganondorf seeks the Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, he knows about it, and it's introduced at this point.
And what the manga adaptation of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time gives us is an explanation of what happens to Saria's ocarina, because in the game, you seemingly just get a new ocarina and throw away your best friend's prized possession and completely just like throw it, whatever. And now you see Ganondorf pick up the fairy ocarina, and he's like contemplating, because he's like I know I'm looking for an ocarina, and this doesn't look exactly right, but it might be it. It's convenient because he was just chasing the princess and Impa for the Ocarina of Time and to kidnap them. And it just, what it does is it relieves such a burden on my heart of Link being such a rude, bad friend to Saria. And now it's not that way at all.
Actually the mean guy who did it.
Yes. And that's so good. Does he destroy it at the end too?
And that's so like I don't know. I don't mean to be so sweeping, but like that feels like a very like womanly writer's touch to like think about that detail.
Sure, I think it's just tender-hearted. It's a tender-hearted like response to what could be construed as an insult.
Yeah,
and no one in Japanese culture is so polite. They never want to infer impoliteness. Like the way it's a part of like why Americans don't fit in when they go to Japan a lot of the times.
Or anywhere. We are a strange culture.
When I was in Paris with my wife, we just told everybody we were German because Sarah's like natural response to like not understanding what people are saying, but trying to be like polite, she just goes, yeah. And like, they're like, oh, German? And we're like, yeah. I was like, no, I'm Canadian.
Anything but American.
Yeah. What? Okay. Oh, right. So that Ganondorf is like after losing, after losing Zelda, Ganondorf gets the fairy ocarina, and then that 7 years of his being, and they give him the term Sorcerer King, which is so sick. Like that is some like good word use. And that entire time he's holding on to this fairy ocarina because he's just not sure. There's a shadow of a doubt that it's not there, that it could be the Ocarina of Time, but he doesn't have the spirit. Well, so when Zelda and Link open the door, sorry, Link does it on his own after Zelda escapes.
Yes.
When Link opens the door, it grants Ganondorf access to the Sacred Realm, where the Triforce breaks into 3 pieces. The piece that he is worthy of, the Triforce of Power, goes into his hand, whereas it's like the first game where Zelda breaks the Triforce into 8 pieces to evade being collected by Ganon. It's the same thing. The Triforce of Courage resides in Link, of course, and Wisdom in Zelda. I just like that it puts it in clear terms, and I'm not just pressing A trying to get through it so I can keep playing.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what the beauty of a video game adaptation is, that you have to go at its pace, and it is a brisk pace. And if you've never read a manga, campers, like it's a quick experience. Like don't think that like this thick book is going to last you as long as a novel of that same thickness will.
Definitely not.
You'll blast through it, and it can be an expensive habit. So.
Yeah. Because this is retail's probably about as much as
retail's $20,
$18 US. That's the cost of a real book almost for paperback.
Support your local bookstores,
but yeah, go buy them, please. Go. Anyway, couple other things like derivations or things where they dove a little deeper that I recall or enjoyed. One is the treatment of Ingo is introduced, and the way Lon Lon Ranch is handled. He is they use the fact that he's the workaholic, and Talon, what's the Talon?
Talon is the father, Malon's the daughter. Yeah.
They use that as not just like, oh, time passed and Ingo decided to become evil. They use it as more like that was an in for Ganon to corrupt him.
Yeah.
Does he have the jewel thing
Yeah,
the way Nibiru does?
And that's how Kotake and Kume and Ganondorf are able to like possess people or perhaps monsters as well. Yeah, it's through like a ruby that like they only really explore that with Nibiru as like the only character in the video game that I remember being under mind control. And in this case, it's a whole slew of characters are under mind control, and it makes sense where they introduce that where it's not specifically implied.
Yeah, and it's for Ingo. I just like that it just justifies his turn to be like in like the degree to which he like falls under Ganon's spell in the game that he has like a picture of Ganon in his bedroom in the 3D remake.
What a wonderful detail.
like it's just a little silly in the game, the degree to which he would fall for him. It's like, I mean, I guess after 7 years of, we live in a world where like we have an authoritarian cult leader that like some people are just so deep in it. They have pictures of him by their bed or whatever, but the jewel thing just makes more sense. And they address in the book, like, no, he had some resentment that he really was the one doing the work, but he wasn't like evil and just waiting for a reason to be more evil.
It reminds me of there's a character in Stephen King's The Stand, which is a great book, and I have not seen a good adaptation of it yet. And I've only seen one of them, but anyway, good book, bad movie. And there's a character named Harold who basically he's got like, it's a lot like Ingo, where you have these like your general demeanor is negative because no one listens to you or takes you seriously, or the girl you like doesn't like you back. And so like the world is ended in The Stand. The world is ended by this plague that like sweeps across the world, that like a huge, I mean, like I think 2% of the population survives. And so it's this, like, it turns into this post-apocalyptic thing where the source of the like evil energy in the world is personified through this guy who they call the walking dude. Stephen King can be very corny all the time.
Like walking or
the walking
okay.
dude. Yeah. And he has a psychic link with all the survivors of the plague have a psychic link with each other, and they all share the same dreams, and they have dreams that are produced by an old woman living in like a cornfield and this like walking dude who's like a scary bad guy. So you've got like you got good and evil basic binary. And this guy Harold, he starts off like he's helping his friends, but like he's not getting the girl. And then through his evil dreams, he's kind of brainwashed by the walking dude, where he then commits horrible acts of terrorism and other things. But I deviate, but it's very similar to Ingo in that journey where it's like, just because like he's weak to Ganondorf's like
exactly
charm, and like that the way that Link is like completely repelled by Ganondorf.
Yeah, and Nibiru is sort of submissive for a different reason, that like, no, she's just supposed to be on his side, being from the Gerudo tribe. But I forget how they address it in the book. If she is like, nah, I wasn't really into his whole like hatred and violence thing and tried to resist, and how I forget how Akume and Kotake get her. But the big thing that I want to talk about in these chapters is how they rotate around the order of operations, that Sheik outs himself as Zelda before any of the Spirit Temple stuff happens, and like joins Link for the fight against Kome and Kotake with Nibiru, and it's interesting.
I can't believe we haven't talked about Sheik yet, because that's the character that they expand upon the most in terms of like the adult arc. Where
there's all kinds of stuff here to get
like
into.
It answers so many questions you have about like what Zelda did in that 7-year interval.
Yeah. In this, they have Sheik, instead of being just Zelda in disguise running, as we hypothesized, like what if Zelda has been like working ahead in the temples in some way?
Right.
Is what we said. In this, it's like, no, she just became like a double agent.
Yes.
Exact
words I was going to use too.
Working alongside Ganon. It's almost not quite the same as like Professor Snape.
Ooh, that's a good comparison though.
That like, it's like, no, to her core, she is loyal, but she's playing this part so deeply embedded in the other side that she's like literally in the room with Ganondorf in his plotting.
I can't think of a better like contemporary like comparison. That I think that's dead on. And that's so.
But it's throughout the story, it's not left as ambiguous as Snape. It's like, no, we know Sheik is on our side.
Right.
Like,
well, Sheik always ends up doing the right thing,
Yeah.
but in certain moments has to prove themselves to Ganondorf.
Yeah, it's more we see them proving themselves. Whereas like with Snape, those scenes are all like, wait, which side is he really on?
Right,
Until you find out the whole reason, whatever was plotted about him and Dumbledore and having to kill him or whatever. Spoiler alert. All the Half-Blood Prince nonsense, that stuff.
With Sheik being, I've lost my words.
Well, they establish also like something about like Sheik being like they have an argument almost with Ganondorf where he's like, why are you loyal to me? Because the Sheikah were supposed to have been loyal to like the royal family, but there was some fallout. And they explain that's why the teardrop, they give the lore for why the Sheikah is an eye with a teardrop.
Which
it's something about being betrayed by the royal fammy or vice versa.
Would you say they were the tears of the kingdom?
Yeah. Yeah. I even went like tears of the kingdom.
Yeah. I remember the point I wanted to make about Ganondorf as a character in this is it's really interesting. And it shows how kind of simple the game is. You never see Ganondorf like actually like address minions or like lead an actual army ever. You only see Ganondorf operating solo. And in the video game and in the novelization, he's constantly like he acting as like a coup general. With soldiers, his Stalfos are his like soldiers, and the Stalfos character it's like his lieutenant, and it reminded me so much of Ganon from the animated series, where he's in his evil fortress,
his evil lair.
Yes, and he's talking to the evil jar.
Yeah.
Is that where all of his minions live?
Yeah.
I highly recommend campers. You go back and listen to our like overbearing conversations about the animated series. We gave it more attention than the creators did.
A little too much. Okay, I am going to read the page about Sheik's loyalty to Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Because it was easy to find. I don't have the one about the teardrop. But,
okay. Set the scene here.
So Ganondorf is just like Ganondorf and Sheik. And Ganondorf says, Sheik, why do you serve me? Your Sheikah tribe served the royal family of Hyrule for many years. Is it possible you seek revenge? Sheik says, our tribe was just a shadow. It needed someone to take charge and give us substance. I had no master. Then you came to me. That is my only reason. I shall lure the hero of time to the ranch to be snared by Ingo.
Yeah. Good thing to bring up. I like that. That gives you a lot about like the Sheik people, the Sheikah people.
Yeah. Really appreciated just those couple little pages of filling out some of that Sheikah lore that people have always deliberated about.
I watch Jeopardy every day, and I learned something relevant to today's conversation in the last episode. And I believe I found the lingual source of the Gorons as a species. I'm going to try to pronounce this as safely as possible. It's a crater called the Ngoro crater that's in Tanzania. It's the world's largest
NGO?
NGORO. Ngoro.
Okay.
And it's the world's largest intact unfilled volcanic like crater. Essentially, it's like a volcano exploded in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what used to be a volcanic mountain with the word Goron appears in it basically twice. It says Goron Goro at the very end.
Yeah.
And like that, like all the photos you see are just.
Where
like,
is this?
It's in Tanzania.
Okay.
And I don't know very much about it because I was eating dinner while watching Jeopardy. But I was like, I had to stop and like just like get my scroll out.
This is my business.
Yeah, I had to light a candle and with my pen quill.
Hilarious.
Yeah. But I think I found it, and I've never heard that reference before in relation to the Legend of Zelda.
That leads me to one other tidbit I want to point out that is, I think its first appearance happens in this novel because I don't remember if it's in the game. It's definitely in Breath of the Wild. The way Gorons end their speech with Goro to say like, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't remember that from the game.
I don't think that's introduced until Breath of the Wild. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like that speech pattern is very apparent in Breath of the Wild. And I love it because it does so much to characterize like the tone and attitude.
Yeah.
Of like the way they're just like, bro.
So,
like,
bro?
Like that's like how their speech ends. But then they also added it to the Zora. As the Zora
that was a bit more. That seemed out of place for the Zora.
Yeah,
the Zora you see like on the parallel with like Tolkien's High Elves, where they're like these like ethereal, beautiful creatures who have made this beautiful crystalline palace.
Yeah,
and you don't see them having that type of verbal tick be a part of their like language.
Yeah,
like identity. Whereas the Gorons are utilitarian, very very rough and shoddy, and like they're gonna be more like Cockney with it, I guess.
Yeah. So to be very specific, it's like in the Zora chapter, they will end their speech pattern just by saying Zora at the end. And it feels so out of place compared to the Gorons.
Right.
Where I don't know if I had read this without having played Breath of the Wild, if I would have been like, why do they keep saying Goro? But like it just works for them.
Yeah.
It's very much their personality. And the Zora, I'm glad it didn't stick because it'd be weird.
Yes. Full agreement. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going through my notes because I
spill them all out. Give us the rest.
Ganondorf does destroy Saria's ocarina when he sees the Ocarina of Time. He just like smashes it, which I thought was a very funny like kind of fu to Link and to like the people of Hyrule. I realized all the main players of the Triforce have a shadow self. With Zelda, it's Sheik, obviously. With Link, it's Dark Link, and Ganon has Dark Ganon or Phantom Ganon, and they each have like they're kind of like natural state, and then they have like a shadow state as well, which is just a I've never heard that like kind of condensed like
but amongst the characters in the same way it does in the world with like Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, where there's a light and dark world.
Yeah.
And what other games do that? Twilight Princess.
Yep. Twilight Princess. And you could say The Depths and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
And in Skyward Sword, you do some time traveling, and there's the idea of like above the clouds and below the clouds.
Yeah.
And Majora's Mask is kind of its own like alternate world.
All dark world all the time, baby. All David Lynch movie the whole time.
And the Minish Cap has like the big world in the Minish world.
Yeah.
I mean it's after A Link to the Past, it just became like a essential gameplay function to like stretch the runtime essentially, I guess. But it's also very symbolically relevant to the stories that they tell. Let's see. Yeah, Link straight up cuts off Volvigia's head, which is brutal because throughout the rest of the story, like just like haunting images of it will come up as like moments of doubt and guilt. And like that's what haunts him. That's like the big regret that Link has, which I think is like very emotionally like appropriate for the storytelling that the authors wanted to go for.
He like reflects back to it at some point, right? After that.
Well, in the Haunted Wasteland, he gets reminded of it by the ghosts that are like showing him things. And Sheik says that he doesn't see anything, which I don't know is representative of like Zelda having a clean conscience or just putting on a tough exterior and lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the Haunted Wasteland seemed to be like a hall of mirrors where like you see what you want to see in that place, or like, what you don't want to see specifically.
Yes, you see what haunts you, like your PTSD nightmares. Come to you.
Your sleep paralysis.
Yes.
Yes. It's a interesting part of the story that I like. That it wasn't just them getting attacked by real ghosts, which does happen as well. And Link is able to attack a Poe with a sword, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think Navi was also unconscious the entire 7 years that Link was out?
No clue.
It's something that crossed my mind. I was like, she's on this journey with him, and she does the time traveling with him as well, which is kind of like, what if like Jeff Goldblum's The Fly happened, like with Navi and Link?
And he came out as a fairy person.
Yeah, they go into the transporter together, and then their DNA gets all jumbled up, and then he's like, kill me.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of always assumed she was frozen alongside him.
Yeah.
Didn't think much of it.
At one point, Link offers Navi to rest in his hat, which I thought was a great little detail. Mm-hmm. Like she was like worn out from as soon as he travels time into the future, into the adult arc. Navi gets like overwhelmed with evil energy, which is a part of the gameplay for Ganondorf's boss fight. Like she gets repelled by all of the evil energy, but they took that little detail and then they made it so that as soon as like he enters this awful dystopia, a spirit, like little fairy of like the goodness in the world is like immediately overwhelmed with literal bad vibes.
Yeah.
And they hang heavy on her, which I think is just a really beautiful detail.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't get that type of sauce in a video game.
I think overall Navi's handled pretty well in that like there's not too much.
Oh yeah, no, they give you a exactly what gamers wanted with Navi, which is less, and she doesn't speak every single like page or panel. It's good that she isn't as annoying in the book as she is in the video game.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. That's bringing me to most of what I wanted to talk about with this book.
Yeah.
I got it out of my system.
Final thoughts, Josh, as we round out this extensive discussion of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. I mean, any Zelda super fan should absolutely like. It's great. Or I don't know that like if I was not doing a video game podcast where I talk about these things, if I would care much. Like there's like little bits in here that I'm like, that is fun that you fleshed that out. But it's like I don't need it.
Yeah. But a lot of people do. I mean, this is we'd love to find them and maybe let them subscribe and give a like if you do. But this is the highest ranked video game of all time. Like Metacritic wise, I believe it's no one's surpassed it, and it's still beloved. And especially with the remake coming up, it's something that like if you're the gamer who is counting down the days and has already requested off work for the general time frame when Ocarina of Time remake is coming out, and you haven't read the manga, it is a necessary task. It is. I mean, it's a love letter to the video game, while you learn more about what you already love. Right. And it just gives you so much more of it. And if you just play the game over and over again, and you just need to like feel like
just hang out in the world in a new way.
Yeah. And just feel a different way about things that are comfortable and familiar. It's an absolutely successful adaptation. If I played video games, or I'm sorry, if I read manga and I didn't really play video games and I read this one, I think I would be compelled to try the video game out to see how it stacks up against this pretty solid adventure story that is just so universal and like timeless.
Yeah. I agree with all that, and I think that like my prediction is that this remake is going to be as 1-to-1 as they can get away with after playing the Star Fox one, where like the only thing they've done is modernize some of the like lines.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe you'll see this sourced for like maybe some tweaking of text here and there, where like localization can go a little deeper or be a little more clear. But I'm sort of glad to have like read it, as I anticipate playing that game. Whether I enjoy it or not, I know I'm going to play the whole stinking thing.
Sure. Yeah. It's an inevitability.
Yeah. They have my money. It's embarrassing in some ways, but who doesn't hate, I enjoy a little junk food, comfort food, whatever, right, every now and again. Why not?
Yeah.
Slop me up.
There are so many different things that are way more embarrassing to be a diehard fan of.
It feels like between this and part 3 of Final Fantasy VII Remake, like coming out within a few months of each other, it's like I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. It feels like I'm approaching like the final bosses of Unk Slop Remake.
Yeah.
Like just junk food that I'll finally be like, remakes are out of my system. I only want new experiences of like either games I missed or people like trying a new idea in a new game.
Sure. Well put. All right, campers, that's going to do it for today. Tell every single person that you walk past on the street about Camp Video Games. Make sure you're really, really, really in their face about it.
Yeah. Be annoying. Tell them all.
Yeah, and join us next time when we talk about something else.
Something new we haven't decided yet. Who knows? We might be back next week. There might be a few week break because we haven't planned and scheduled all that yet. But we will be back because Camp Video Games never dies.
It never dies.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.